Do you know these words? Forgive us our trespasses as we forgive those who trespass against us. Yeah, we say those words a lot. I mean, every worship service is part of the Lord's Prayer, or perhaps it's also part of your personal prayer life as well. You know, those words are so familiar, we can go right over them, say them sometimes without thinking, and not really taking to heart what we're actually praying for. I mean, those words, what Jesus gave us to pray, he wanted us to pray, we're actually asking God to forgive us in the same way that we forgive other people who've wronged us. Really? Oh, wait. What if he did that? I mean, how readily do I forgive those who've wronged me, who've insulted me or hurt me or betrayed me or talked about me behind my back or even like cut me off on the road and then flip me off? I mean, or worse. I mean, hurts done long ago that I'd soon forget about or I can't forget about. Or an insult from yesterday. Or maybe not something done to me, but to people that I love or a cause I believe in. We're called to forgive as we have been forgiven. And we know we have been forgiven by the abundant, free, gracious, undeserved love, mercy, and forgiveness of a gracious God. Am I that gracious to people around me that have wronged me? This is hard. I mean, am I instead holding resentment in my heart, grudges in my heart, or secret desires of revenge, or waiting for somebody who's wronged me to have a bad thing happen to them so I can secretly rejoice? I mean, forgiveness is hard. It's hard. Sometimes it's really hard or it just like seems impossible. What about abuse? What about bullying? What about criminals? What about murder, terrorism? This Lent, we're going to focus on this topic of forgiveness, giving forgiveness. Our series on the Wednesday night series, our series title is Forgive. Why should we and how can we? So we're going to dig in deep and unpack forgiveness. Why is it so important to Jesus? Not just the forgiveness he gives us, which we really appreciate, but also the forgiveness which we're called to give others, which is really hard. And so we're going to talk about that and how to do it, how to be gracious, especially when it's hard. And especially like even when the person doesn't want our forgiveness, or when we just can't find it in ourselves, the will to forgive. I know this is an issue that touches many, if not all of our lives in one way or another, and one that's very relevant in a divisive, often angry, unforgiving at times culture where people seem to be more prone to avoid or disown or cancel or be mean to each other, attack physically, verbally, or virtually those that have wronged them or even disagree with. As Christians, we are called to a different way of life than what comes naturally or what we might see going on around us. And at the heart of that different way of life is forgiving those who've wronged us, as Jesus has forgiven us. So join us on the Wednesdays of Lent, starting this week, Ash Wednesday. That's this coming Wednesday, soup supper at 6, and then we'll gather in here for worship at 7 o'clock this Wednesday and the following 5 Wednesdays as we explore this topic and seek the Lord's will and strength and direction. Forgive. Why should we? And how can we?